What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Real Sports Science Podcast. My name's David, PhD student at Loughborough University.
And I'm Matt, head strength and conditioning coach within rugby. David, what are we doing here?
Yeah, good question, Matt. Well, we started this podcast to share the highs and the lows of our journey as we start careers as sports science practitioners.
That's right, and we are excited for all of you to be side by side with us through all the mud, sweat, and unpaid volunteer placements.
Yeah, Matt, that sounds personal. But hey, it's not just us. We've got some amazing guests that come onto the podcast as well.
We'll be getting their perspective and learning from their experiences to help us grow in our developing careers and in our current roles.
Yeah, that's right. So hey, if that's up your alley or you just want to come and learn alongside us, we'd love to have you come along.
So whether for the first time or not, welcome to the RSS podcast.
Let's go. Welcome back to episode 2 of series 2 of the Real Sports Science Podcast. We have got our first guest on of this series, Josh Burniston, or as most people call him, Bruno, personal trainer, CrossFit level 1 trainer, level 3 personal trainer. He trains at 3 different gyms, and 2 of which have the most confusing names that I've ever seen of gyms. I had to Google how to pronounce one of them. Zinc Fitness, I think that's right, or Zinx Fitness. The second one, I don't even know how to say it. Saint Unique or Stunique Fitness. We'll have to get into that later. And CrossFit Leicester. Also a CrossFit athlete doing quarterfinals, made it to quarterfinals, European Championships, SID UK Championship or Strength and Depth Champs. I think you also headed up the BFG series CrossFit comps as well last year. Which is cool. You joined Brainstorm Athletics as a coach, headed up down. Where is he now? Where is he based? Down south in London somewhere.
Hertfordshire.
Okay. So yeah. So joined that, which is pretty exciting. And most recently, and probably most notably, did 12 marathons in 12 consecutive days. To raise support for a friend who passed away recently. So just unbelievable that. But Josh Bruno, saying it like it's your last name.
That's perfect. I might change it one day.
Welcome to the podcast. Really excited to have you on. We talked about it for a while and it just hadn't happened yet. So really excited to have it actually get down to business here. Yeah.
No, thank you both for having me on. I appreciate it.
Really excited.
Look forward to chatting.
Yeah. So first off, you have to tell us how you got the nickname Bruno.
So basically, a while back doing CrossFit, I was like one of these guys who thought I'd make the games in 6 weeks after watching the Netflix documentary, and then went there, soon realised I've got no hope. But I was one of them where I bought everything, got all the gear, and then I bought a CrossFit Open top because I signed up to do the Open after like a couple of weeks of being at my old gym, BFG. And you could personalize the back of the shirt, and it was quite late at night. So I thought everyone used to call me Burno when I played football. And then for whatever reason, as I was putting in the text, put Josh, and then thought I put Burno. And then the top arrived and it said Bruno on it. And I was like, oh, God, what's gone on here? So I went back on my emails, checked it. And then, for some reason, I put Bruno on the back. So I'm thinking in my defense, predictive text just changed it to Bruno. And then, everyone was like, why have you bought a top that says Bruno on the back? And I was like, oh, I don't know. And then, it just stuck from there. So it's better being compared to that or the gay film. Bruno, which is, I guess, I don't know. It's a good film, but yeah.
As far as like getting nicknames is concerned, I think that's probably one of the funniest stories I've ever heard. I don't know, Matt, have you heard any other? And the fact that it sticks so quick is really funny as well.
I mean, there's not much you can do about it. It's already set in stone after you've done something like that, so you can't really change it here.
No.
I think the thing is now, like I'm recognized as it is like sometimes worse, and it just reminds me of like the mess up I made basically. And if that never happened, then I guess I'd never be called it. But I guess it's quite nice.
You could have heard on the big mic
story to tell.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you could have heard on like the big mic someone shouting, "Let's go, Burno," at the competitions, but now you're just going to hear
Yeah,
Bruno. It's just going to fuel you even more in your competitions.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
that's it, and it comes out. It sounds quite nice, I think. So we'll stick it for now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If it's not broke, don't change it. Um, I don't think I've even heard this either from you because we've known each other for I don't know, probably a couple of years now. Not probably a couple of
Yeah.
years, but it's always been
When did you come? When did you join BFG?
yeah, it was like the
21,
end of
maybe.
summer 21. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
because I remember. Obviously, did you come with Hayden
yeah, yeah.
first
I
time,
came with
or
Hayden and our friend Alex, who we did the masters with.
yeah?
Yeah,
So that was like I remember. I still always say this to Hayden, but he came and we had like a comp the next day. So I was like, oh, I'll get him in on the comp.
right.
And then I was like, I saw him do the comp, and it was like a 3 rep max deadlift or something. He did something silly, like 250 or 270. And I was like, if this guy is 21, then I am quitting CrossFit. And then found out he's a little bit older, which I felt a little bit better about
Yeah,
myself.
thankfully
But
Hayden's a
yeah,
dinosaur.
I think that's
So
where he's a monster though. I remember him coming, and I was like, oh god,
yeah.
like this guy's a beast.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, no, about 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years, but it's always like training and stuff. So usually when we're down there training, we're
Yeah,
just yelling at each other, not really talking about our life story.
attacking.
but
Yeah.
but like what has your journey been to this point in terms of CrossFit? Um, yeah, let's start the athlete first. Athlete Bruno, and then we'll
So
go to Coach Bruno.
okay, so yeah, from the age of 6, I played. Well, I started football when I was 4, and then at the age of 6, got scouted for Leicester. Didn't end up getting took on by Leicester, and then played for like my local team again for like another year, and then got scouted by Nottingham Forest. Um, so I was at Nottingham Forest Academy from 8 years old till 16. And then unfortunately didn't get offered a scholarship at 16. And then went on trial at several different clubs. I was a bit heartbroken at the time. I was like, oh, the dream's over as such.
Mm-hmm.
But and then yeah, I got the opportunity to assign a scholarship at Cambridge
Mm.
United. So I lived down there, left school, well, obviously finished GCSEs at school, and then moved down there at 16, where I did 2 years on a scholarship, and then unfortunately didn't get a pro contract at the end. So that was the end of the fitness journey as such in terms of football.
Sorry.
But to be honest, it was like I always say this: things like I had setbacks throughout that, and during my time at Cambridge, I actually got injured um, during my first year. So I was out for around 8 months, and then that's kind of what got me into the gym. Because anyone who knew me before, like my brother always said this, but I went to the gym with my brother when I was 16 and I hated it.
Really?
Like, yeah, absolutely hated it. Like, I was always been quite a like a tall, skinny lad.
Were
So
you
it was
going with
like
your brother
the
though, who's
thought,
like a unit as well? Like my brother was
exactly. And it,
a massive unit. I wouldn't want to go to the gym either.
but that's his goal was to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I was like the polar opposite of that. So I was like, I hate this. But nah, to be fair, like when I got injured, that was kind of the incentive of like, oh, I'll go into the gym, try and build some upper body strength. Um, and yeah, it kind of ended up. I really got into it, and then I spoke to a guy at the club who ended up helping me get my personal trainer qualification because I kind of had that realization of I can't play football at the time that with the injury they were like we're not sure if you're going to get back to full playing capabilities. So I was like, oh, I could do something in the gym. I enjoy pushing other people. I enjoy helping people. So that's kind of where the inspiration to start coaching and PTing came from. So as much as the injury at the time, I was a bit like down, but it's actually like now, if I look back, it's what made me get into coaching as such. So I'm quite privileged to have gone through it as such.
Yeah, I mean, like just to point out something from the beginning, it's mental. I don't know what your views are on it, but like it's mental to think like from the age of 6, you got like scouted to play football. It just seems like such a I can't remember what I was doing at 6, like rolling around on the floor or something. But Yeah, that's ridiculous from the age of 6 already to be put in such an environment where there's, and then I guess the pressures going through. I don't know if you faced any pressures going from 6 to the end of your season.
I think, yeah, like I think now I always say this, like if I ever had a kid, I don't think I would let my kid go at 6 or like 8 or 10. I would let them probably go if they were good enough or they got scouted. I would let them go when they're a bit older so they can make the choice as well. Not like I'm not saying my parents made me do it. My parents have been super supportive through all of it, but I was kind of like, I guess at 6 I didn't know what I was doing. It just felt like right. I was at this club and I had some incredible experiences. I've still got some good friends now who have made it professional, and they like. But I kind of realized as I got older, like you say, there was a bit of pressure on it. You'd get
Mm.
like coaches or older men, and they just basically it was their opinion if you were good enough or not. And I guess kind of that's what made my decision on it because I'll never judge anyone, like especially in the fitness industry now. If anyone wants to come to me and improve themselves, good on you. And I'm not going to say you're not good enough. And I think that's how football is. Like, it's a very tough industry to be in. And I saw it firsthand. Like, I went to, when I got released at Forest, went to like a trial day and there was over like 100 kids all in the same boat, all trying to find a new club. And it was an experience I'll never forget. I can't lie. No one really talked to each other. Everyone's like, and then like, well, fast forward now, I'm in like CrossFit or like functional fitness style gyms, and everyone talks to each other. It's completely different. Like if you're last in the workout, no one will care, or people will cheer each other on. It's a very different side, and I'm quite proud now. Like I'm not involved in that, if that makes sense.
It is like that. That's something I noticed even when I was coming to Loughborough and getting ready for like the rugby tryouts. I guess like once you've finished with it, once you've just finally hung up the boots, you realize, wow, like it sort of builds you up on like a false promise in the sense that you're going through these different stages. Like, oh, I could make it. Oh, there's one more string I can hang on. Like, oh, I could make it. And then it's just everyone's like dog eat dog world in the sense like everyone's just fighting for that one
For
position. And
sure,
then
yeah,
once you're out, you're like, actually, think about how many Premier League teams there are. Think about how many players are on those teams. Think about how many people there are in England, Europe. You go on a bigger scale, it's like, oh, Jesus, the ones who make it, it's ridiculously like, and all they need is just a bit of luck. Say one coach is like, oh, like he's turned up in the kit today that I like, brilliant. That's already got him one little point in his mind. You just realize there's so many different factors playing in it, but once you hang it up, that's when you really notice. I feel.
for sure.
Especially when you're so young. I didn't realize that they scouted at like 6 and 8 years old. That's mental. Like the ball doesn't
Oh,
even
you'll see it
fit.
in Loughborough.
Like the ball doesn't even fit between your legs at that point. Like it's like the ball comes up to your hips. What are you supposed to do? It's crazy. I didn't realize it was
No, but
so.
you'll see it. Oh, sorry.
No, what
I'm
were
a
you gonna
bit
say?
lagged out. Sorry, you'll see it in Loughborough. There'll be like tournaments where Crystal Palace, Man United, all these teams will come in for like a little tournament. They're like under eights or something, under tens, and just fully decked out in gear. 3 coaches walking in, and it's like the Champions League final. The way they treat it, it's scary. But I mean,
Yeah,
it seems to be working at the end. I don't know how else you'd change it, or if you could. But yeah,
Yeah, and then you got like these 6-year-olds who obviously idolize anyone in whatever uniform that they're in. That's their favorite team. So, and then and that would be difficult as a parent as well. Like if your kid gets chosen for this, like the kid's obviously over the moon and thinks now because he's signed with this team or whatever, or got scouted by Man U when he's 8 that he's going to be the next Messi or what, because he's
yeah,
6 years old. Like that's what you're supposed to believe when you're 6 years old. And then for the parent to like go along with it, that'd be tough, because then what are you going to say? Like say no to your kid? And I mean, I guess at the end of the day it doesn't matter because they don't really understand it, but just in the kids' eyes be the worst parents in the world. you know that's
yeah.
crazy.
I think that's the thing. Like, I remember at school and like when I was, well, 15, 16, I would miss a day of school to go and play football. And I guess my parents were always really good, and my brother as well. Like, always not like I'm not really, I would never be big headed and say like, oh, I play for this club or anything like that. But I've seen that. I've coached in schools and seen young lads who've been approached by clubs, and you can get the impression it's like they get that. mentality of like, then if you play in a school team, it's like, oh, but this guy plays for Leicester, and the people like make pressure on it.
Yeah.
And that's what I found hard as a kid sometimes, is like people would see you as this like I don't know, guess like athlete or whatever, like, oh, he can play football, but deep down I was just like, nah, I'm just more of a person than I'm not just a footballer. And that's what made me realize now, coming out of football, there's so much more to life than just training 4 times a week football. Like if you lose at the weekend, I remember I used to be so upset, and I just think, why? It's just like a game. But obviously, it's incredible. I've had something like I'll never regret anything I did in football. And like I say, some of the people I met, some of the privileges I had was incredible. But yeah, if I was like now, and if I had kids or my like, I wouldn't be rushing them to get involved in that environment straight away.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe wait till they're 7 or something at least.
Yeah, at least they can make their own thoughts.
Yeah, then throw them away. Then throw them in, I mean, not away.
Yeah.
Right, so you said you hated the gym.
Yeah.
And before we get on to the coaching aspect of things, I did want to bring up the 12 marathons in 12 days things, because that's
Yep.
incredible. Just talk. How did that come about? How did you come up with that idea, and what was it like?
So I don't know if you know, I did one about 3 years ago.
Was that
back
the
in
like
during
3
COVID?
marathons in a day? Was that the one?
Yeah, so I did. Yeah, so I did 3 in 24
Right.
hours. And then yeah, kind of whilst I was away in Canada, obviously visiting your home nation, which was very nice. On the way back, I don't know, I just kind of had a thought. I was going through a bit of time where I don't know, I was a bit feeling sorry for myself. A few things happened that, like I say, it kind of got me down. But then I just had the thought. So a friend of mine, Andy Peel, lost his life last year in Jan, and he was 30. He had a brain tumor and battled it for like 3.5 years. And seeing how strong he was through his treatment and the things he had to like overcome and constantly remain positive, I wanted to do something to basically show how strong he was. Because no matter what I was going through, when I put like perspective to it, I was fine. Like I've got my health, I've got supportive family, like good friends, and I was like, if I can raise some money to the charity that him and his family and his mum Linda, they've raised now, I think with the money I raised nearly 43,000
Wow.
for the charity. I didn't raise that myself, but like I made a contribution to that, which again now, like thinking about it, it was worth every single moment that I had to go through to hopefully help someone in the future with, if they are going through it, and I hope they're not, but hopefully they've got some support with it. So, and yeah, the charity Brain Tumor Research, which is like a very, very good charity, and I've got to know quite a lot of the people involved, which has been nice. So, but yeah, sorry. So I set out to do 12 marathons, 12 days, alternating between a run marathon, a row, a ski erg, and then the bike erg. So the bike erg I kind of used as a recovery day as such. But
Matt's brain is just exploding right now.
8 reps for 10 cows on a ski erg will finish me for the day.
To be honest, the ski I was dreading, but it was actually okay. Like 3 hours of skiing. The thought of doing that now. I was saying this the other day. I went for a run last week, did like 4 miles, and I thought, how the hell did I do a marathon? I don't know, but just at the time, the training, to be honest, really helped me through a dark time. And like I say, to the support I had throughout doing the days, there was no real. I think it obviously asked how it went. It went really well. I found the first like 2 sets of each, so I'd like obviously alternate them. So when I got to like the last set of each, the last run, I really struggled. I think just mentally, I was kind of like, I knew I was almost there because I found the runs the hardest and they were the longest. So like that, I'm very good once I set my mind to like a target. So if I was to run a marathon, that was the target. I'll complete it no matter what. But with that, I was like, I'm close to finishing this now. But the thought of still running 4 hours was like, oh God, I don't know if I got this today.
It's like when you're doing
But
it's
yeah,
like when
again,
you're
like
doing a CrossFit workout and it's like for 5 rounds and you're on the third round and you're just in
that's it. Yeah,
you're in the trenches.
you're already struggling.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
yeah.
But yeah, that was probably one of the best days I've ever had. I put that out on my social media, but I had support. People ran with me from, like I say, we're fortunate to work in 3 gyms. I had all them communities come together, which was like really nice. And then, yeah, like met in like the local pub after, which I like necked 2 Cokes straight after finishing, which was probably that was the incentive for like the last hour was like get to the pub and have a Coke. But yeah.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, so it was a incredible experience. So looking back now, I don't really know how I did it. I had some help with a guy called Dave Smith from a gym I work at in town. He helped me with my nutrition, and I've not eaten another energy gel now for life. I think I'm done with them. I was having about six a day. So
Oh yeah, those aren't
yeah.
great. Those aren't great, and I can only imagine what it's
I
like
got,
eating 6 of them every day.
oh, is it? So on the last one, like I say, on that run as well, because I'd got like a box of flavors. It was like a variety pack,
Yeah.
and I kept putting off, and one of them was chocolate. And I was like, I don't want chocolate. And then the run, that was the only ones I had left.
Oh,
So I was running along like gooey chocolate. It was like,
it's
oh, this is not the
just
one.
like
But
sticking to your throat as you're trying
yeah,
to breathe.
literally.
I thought you were gonna say
But yeah,
lemon.
no, it
I
was.
thought you were gonna say lemon because I've had some biking and I always leave the lemon to
Not the
last
one.
because those are just
To be fair, I had
atrocious.
some funky flavors. I had like salted caramel.
Oh wow.
Like yeah, it was a bit of an experience to be honest. But yeah, I won't be having any again for a while.
Sorry, I'm still stuck on that ski erg. I'm just thinking of ways I could bypass it. I might just wrap myself around and then keep jumping and falling and then get back up and then jump again.
Matt's also just started CrossFit just for this podcast, so he knows what a ski erg is.
Nice, love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a headache.
ski erg was probably the worst. To be fair, the row, my bum was so like numb,
Mm.
just sitting
I think
down.
my hip
That's why
flexors
the
would just
ski
get
was
so
slightly
tight.
better.
Mm.
Sorry.
What were your hip flexors like?
So with the row and on all of them, I tried again. I set myself a target not to stop. So like I wouldn't get off the rower, I wouldn't stop on the ski. Um, so the worst bit on the rower, yeah, once I actually stopped, it was more like my abs because I'd been like
Oh
crunched
yeah,
over for
yeah.
so long. Like, and the ski one, I won't forget it. Like, do you know Cam Allen?
Yeah. Yeah.
David? Yeah, he came and did one with me, and he finished the ski, and I'll never forget it. He got off, and he was like wobbling around because he'd like been disorientated for so long. But yeah, no, like I say, and the support I had, like my mate Matty ran over 60 miles on the runs. Like Brian came and did a whole ski marathon as
Wow.
well. Just came down one day. I was like, I'm going to do the whole thing. I was like, love that. James Stewart as well did one of the skis with
That's
me.
really cool.
And then yeah, like I say, the people at I had people from Zinks and Stunique and BFG all come down, which was lovely. So, but yeah, I raised I think over 8,000. So yeah, thank you to if anyone is listening and who donated. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
So appreciate it.
Man, that's heaps.
So
Yeah, I just don't even know where to start with that. Like, how do you get to the point where you can run one marathon and then run 3 in 24 hours and then do like 12 with different variations?
Yeah.
I think that was the thing. Like I'll be honest, when I first suggested I wanted to do it, I said to my brother, I'm going to do it as an advent calendar. So I do 24. And he was like, "You're stupid. Like you can't do that." And I was like, "Oh, I can." And he was like, "Nah, do 12. At least that is like insane itself." But yeah, I don't know to be honest, because I think once I really enjoyed running the last couple of months, like leading up to it. So I was kind of getting back into that, and I knew I could run a marathon, but I didn't. That was the one thing I was worried about was the impact it would have the next day. But as David knows, I trained at a very like intense place for a long time. So it was like if I can get through some of the workouts I've been through throughout my life, I can
Yeah.
keep getting through this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just more like physically, it was obviously very, very demanding, but it was more like the mental aspect.
Mm.
So I got in a bit of a routine. I'd finish one, get back, ice bath straight away. Um, and then I think once I'd done one, I knew I could do it again. Like as much as it would suck, I knew I had a rough idea of how long things would take, and yeah, I don't know. I don't really know like how it like mentally now. Like I say, I feel like obviously buzzing that I did it, but I don't know. I could have done it without the support I had.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for that.
What was there a time? Yeah, you alluded to a couple times, so maybe the answer is that. But was there a time in it where you were like, "This is why I'm doing it," or do you know where you thought back of like, "This is why I started this," or "This is why I'm doing it"? Was there a moment that you had that while you were in one of the days, or multiple of them?
Yeah, I think like every day, like each time, every not like every single time, but yeah, that would always be on the back of my mind why I was doing it. And then the last day, had Andy's mum actually come and do some of the bike with me, and I don't really cry, but that made me cry at the end. Finishing it, I think I was a bit like
Yeah.
overwhelmed. Like I'd trained for something for so long, had Linda next to me, and yeah, it was one of them moments where I'm quite happy I cried because I don't usually, and it was just like I don't know, that sense of like achievement was done, but more for like to get his story out there because like I say for that to happen to anyone and to put into perspective, like my brother was 30 this year, and it just kind of hit home to
Mm.
me that that shouldn't happen to
Mm.
anyone. But yeah, that was kind of like each day it was like right, that's the goal, get it
Yeah.
done, and
While you're
but
downing
yeah,
your fifth chocolate gel, choking on your
that was
fifth
it.
chocolate
Yeah,
gel.
it was so thick. It was like every time.
Oh, that's really, really cool. Yeah, I guess it's just one of those things that you hear of people doing, and not only, I mean, there's some crazy kind of feats of fitness that people do, which is just insane. But when someone does something for something else other than just to do something crazy, to hear the story is always very, very cool, very inspiring. So that's really, really, really cool. Thanks for sharing that. Um,
No, I appreciate it. Thank
yeah,
you.
so I don't know how we. I mean, there's no smooth transition from that. I was really trying to think of one, but
Sorry.
there isn't. There isn't. But it um, I got one. You mentioned you work at 3 gyms. Boom. There you go.
Yeah.
How do those gyms like differ from each other? So there's CrossFit Leicester, right? Zincs Fitness, and how do you say the other one?
Stunique.
It's
So
Stunique.
I'll clarify on this. So the owner is Stuart Matthews,
Uh-huh.
lovely guy. He is so his name's Stu, and then it's unique.
Right.
So like as in Stunique.
Right.
But hopefully once I've explained that,
Yeah,
it makes
I
more
got
sense.
I
'Cause I've
got
had that
the I
before.
got
People are
the
like
unique
Stunique.
part, unique fitness, but I just didn't know how
Yeah.
the ST was. Is it like? Oh, I just didn't know.
So
Yeah,
like his name is short would be Stu.
Stunique.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Um.
what are those places like? How I guess are they similar? How are they different? What do you enjoy the most about kind of each of
Um.
them?
So I think the thing I enjoy about most and like why I wanted to reach out. So I joined Stu's last year. So I've been there about a year now. Zincs reached out to me around well last July, and then I've only just this is well my second week at CrossFit
Okay.
Leicester. I love the variety. I think that's what I like most. Is firstly I get to meet loads of different people, train loads of different people. So like each place, what I've found is everyone is quite similar in like why they go. Everyone's got similar backgrounds, whether it be like rugby or football or not done any sport. And but yeah, CrossFit Leicester. Like I said, I've only been there 2 weeks, but I'm loving it so far. All the people have been like very welcoming. So that is like more traditional CrossFit style workouts. What I've experienced so far. Um, So a bit like I say, the focus is more on the methodology about CrossFit in the classes, testing benchmark workouts like the girl workouts as such, um, and like tracking your progress. So they've got like an app that they're all members all keep scores of like their, I don't know, back squat, front squat, etc. And then at Stunique, yeah, it's like I say, I've been very grateful for all the support I've had there, obviously through like we just spoke about, but that's more of a functional fitness style place. So they do kettlebell classes. I myself, I do like they call it like a heat class, but it's like a high intensity, like endurance style class. And then Zincs actually has two gyms, so it's Zincs and Nix. And then Zincs is like a similar style to Stunique, as in like functional fitness style classes. So I coach like training stuff there, and they call it like a camp class, which is again like endurance based. And then they also have like a bodybuilding gym, which is across the road. So they have like two areas that you can use. But yeah, they're all fantastic. Like I say, people that I've worked for now, obviously under them, very well organized places, and yeah, like really good communities in each one.
That's really cool, and I guess like the variety is cool. We were talking to somebody recently who was talking about working at a school and how that kind of forces you to change your coaching. Well, and Matt coaching at a school as well, with like so many
Yeah,
so many different like needs.
students.
Yeah, so many different students who have different
Yeah,
needs, who play different sports, and forces you to like learn how to develop, I guess, your coaching styles in a way that you can like switch from one to another depending on who you're with. And I'm sure
for sure.
yeah, you would say the same to that. Yeah. So the series that we're in uh
Yeah,
is goal setting, which is I don't think you could pick a cringier series to go for at the beginning of the year. But we wanted to do it, I guess, a little bit differently, in the sense of like, how do people set goals not only for themselves, but like how do you set goals for the people that you train? So
yeah,
that would be, I think, to dive into that a little bit. More of like, for the people that you train, depending who they are, you have someone who's a weekend warrior, or someone who's a grandparent who just wants to be able to play with their grandkids, or you have someone who's trying to be more of an athlete and do competitions and stuff like that. And so is there a difference that, or do you approach goal setting for those three people differently? It doesn't have to be only those three people, but the different kind of populations that you come in contact with, I guess, for one-on-one PTing, because you don't really, I guess, goal set for classes, or the people that you have then as well, with your work with Brainstorm as well. Like, yeah, in those different populations, do you find that you kind of approach them differently in terms of goal setting?
yeah. So like alluding to what you just said about obviously like Matt, I guess with his like students, I've kind of adapted my coaching and learned to be myself. And I think sometimes the best way to do that is know who you're coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's what I love most about it. If, like you were just saying, if someone wants to come to me and wants to do 10 muscle ups, amazing. If someone wants to come and just do get up and down off a chair 10 times, that's kind of like where I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so yeah, so I would obviously make the goal then, or talk to them about creating a goal, or I don't really personally go too in detail sometimes with goals, just personally because, and I've experienced this myself, so I'll contradict what I'm about to say, but if you have such a number, so I used to have it with a snatch, like I had a number in my mind that I wanted to hit. Whenever I'd get near it, I'd mentally crumble and like couldn't do it, and just rely on trying to hit that goal, and I'd always go away disappointed, if that makes
Okay.
sense. So what I would suggest personally when I work with people is have a goal in mind, no matter how big it is or how small it is, like, and try and make them more realistic. So whether it be, right, that's your goal for 6 weeks, rather than sometimes setting a yearly goal, because as I've experienced, once you don't achieve something, you then can have a negative impact then on your training. And what I suggest to anyone, and what I always try and pass over to people, is if you train consistently, whether it be once a week or twice a week for your life, that's better than training for a year non-stop and then having 2-3 years off, because the comeback is obviously quite hard. But that's just my personal view on it. I want to try and make people like healthier long term than having like sometimes such a fixed goal that if they don't achieve it, it can then set you back and not actually continue to train personally. But
To be fair, building on what you've just said, even achieving that goal, and then some people it's easy for them to go, okay, what's the next thing? But some people sort of
yeah,
relish in that achievement stage and then be like, oh well, this is what I wanted to achieve. I've worked so hard for it. I should be able to enjoy that now. And then in turn, that
yeah,
might set them back even 2 steps further. But then I was just wondering, so as David said in his first question, it's like, how do you goal set differently? Like, how do you try and make them make those choices differently when you've got someone who's, okay, look, I've come to, I want to get stronger lower body. They know what they're talking about, compared to someone who's like, look, I've been forced to come here. I don't really want to engage or do so much. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
how do you combat that, or how do you make them make those choices, or do you have to make the choices yourself?
definitely. So I think I've had this recently where um, working with people, obviously like New Year, like you're saying, it is a good time to start, because so you can get things right, start creating habits. So I recently had a sit down with a client, and kind of wanted to talk to them and say, right, let's outline what you want to work on, and then let them kind of say things to me. I want to work on this, I want to work on that. And then I'll just be like, right, I think let's focus on one thing for now. Um, but then that's more like, so I'll be going off what someone's given me information. So like say someone wants to improve their Olympic lifting, try and focus on that. Don't worry about necessarily doing gymnastics, because if you want to improve gymnastics, focus on gymnastics. And that's the thing obviously with CrossFit, is it's hard to do it all. Um, whereas I've got, like I say, clients, and probably this is more to hopefully answer the question, where I've just given them a goal. Like they're not as educated with things. So it's like some, like say, some goals I've had with people is your goal is just to turn up. Like something as simple as that. Like as soon as you get through the door, you will have a good
Yeah.
session. Don't let yourself like not come, because then you're gonna miss out on things. So yeah, I try and always, like I was saying, I try and work it off the individual that I'm coaching, and giving them hopefully an honest and realistic. I say this all the time when I like coach gymnastics as such. If I've had people come and they'll be like, I want to do a bar muscle up, and then I'll go, right, can you do a strict pull up? Can you hang on the bar for 30 seconds? And then they can't do that. I'll be honest straight away and say, right, let's change the goal. Let's make the goal kipping pull ups, or obviously strict pull up first before we add in like a kipping movement. And just, I think that's the thing. I personally, I do maybe things differently, but I'm not really someone who would be like, come to me 6 weeks, I'll get you shredded. Like that's not how I personally would do things. I would like say try and educate people in, it's more of a lifestyle thing
Yeah.
as opposed to looking great on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, sorry, and from what, like, I feel like they could possibly come from I feel like I'm doing like a little a little therapy session right now. But no, as in like, I feel like maybe through people who've gone through sporting careers, or not careers, but like journeys where they've, as you were, like in football, scholarships going through, they're not able to make it. You've had to deal with brutal honesty, or the brutality of not being able to
Yeah,
make it professional. Like people who've sort of been in the ranks, and then they figured out, oh, it's not for me, and then they've found to find like a new sport to go into. I maybe that's like sort of rubbed off on you, and then you're more honest with your clients instead of like sugarcoating. Be like, look, in 6 weeks we'll go like this. Like all these influencers are. It's a bit different. So maybe you can
Yeah.
be more brutally honest from what you've experienced yourself, and look, it's no sugarcoating. It'll be better for you in the long run if we just settle on one goal that you can achieve, that is realistic, that is honest. So yeah, it's like.
It just
Yeah, I think that's bang on. Sorry.
no. I was gonna talk about you think about people coming like, oh, I want to do a bar muscle up, but they can't even hang on the bar. Do you think that's very like a very unique problem with people starting CrossFit? Because I did that a little bit as well, where you come into CrossFit,
Yeah.
especially if you're not really been into training in any sense beforehand and don't know what it's like to hang off a bar or pull yourself up, that it's like you see these people doing all these like kipping movements and you're like, oh, that's so easy, anyone can do that, you know. Like classic
David,
like someone who
David.
doesn't know CrossFit, it's like, oh, those aren't real pull-ups, but don't realize like those are so difficult as well. They're not easy.
Yeah.
As soon as I signed up to my first session, I already messaged Zach George telling him I'm coming for him. It's all right. It's easy.
Yeah.
CrossFit's easy.
Nice.
I'm gonna nail it.
Yeah. You're yesterday.
No, like again, definitely. Like I think back to like your point there. Like I wouldn't like straight up say to someone like, "Nah, you're never gonna do
You're
this."
trash.
Like, I don't want to be like. But I just want to be honest with someone and say like, it's not realistic now. That's not to say never, but having something more like I always remember from like school and stuff, but having a SMART goal as something like that, where it's more realistic for the individual. But then, yeah, back to your point, David, like, I experienced all this. Like, say I went into a CrossFit gym thinking I was pretty fit, and it was like, I want to do this, I want to do that, like, and it doesn't work like that. And that's how I do relay over now, especially when I do one-to-ones, working on gymnastics or lifting, give people personal experience that I've faced. And I was very fortunate to, like, say, learn off Zach, learn off another guy, Harmy, who are both like, they move so well in what they do. And I would like say fortunate to learn off them. But like say now going forward with myself, I try and pass that information on in a way that can help the individual.
Yeah.
So like say if you came to me and you were like, I want to do bar muscle ups, and it was like, right, have you ever kipped before? It's like, right, maybe go kipping pull ups first, chest to bar, then muscle up, and have like a progression with it, as opposed to being like, yeah, I'm gonna get David a bar muscle up in 6 weeks and then see you later, mate.
Matt's writing all this down furiously. Right, so kipping pull up first.
He's just lying to me. He's lying to me to protect me.
He's lying to you.
goal,
Yeah. You got that bar muscle up by Saturday for sure.
But if honestly, if you do, amazing. But like from experience, I was the guy who wore lifters to do handstand push-ups. So I've been that guy. Like I was like the coach Hobby at the time was like, "Why are you wearing doing that?" And I was like, "I thought they were CrossFit shoes." Like I've been that guy. So I've learned like it's been a very good experience. But yeah, I think like I say with this obviously topic, like making someone have something that is relative to them and it keeps you going. And I'll be honest, like I think like individually, I always have to have something to work towards. Hence, like the marathons, it was like, right, I'm not doing CrossFit at the moment. What can I do to keep me motivated? And that's why I like competing, because it's like, that's my, and again, think more just from my football days, it was like, right, train twice a week. You got a game on Saturday, so you can put your training into practice. And that's what I say to people now is if you don't want to compete, that's absolutely fine. Like I've experienced several competitions now where I put unnecessary pressure on myself. But what it helped me massively is having like I call it like a game. So like when I'd go and do a comp, that was the game. And if I do something not great, then I can use that now to work on weaknesses from that match as such. Yeah. And I had very good experiences of that. Like the first comp I did, it was, you had to do 30 double unders unbroken. And I don't know if you saw my crossovers attempt last year, David.
I don't think I did.
Oh, no. Well, the coordination with the skipping rope was terrible. It took me so long. And like, I stood there and the guy, like, you had to do 30 unbroken. I couldn't do any. Everyone was trying to teach me outside. And I was like, I'm not going to learn these in
Oh,
5 minutes,
no.
let's be honest. And then just stood there for like 12 minutes. And that I was like, right, this is probably the most embarrassed I've ever been. But that made me like fired up to like, right, the next comp I enter, I might not be great at them, but I can give them a go. And that was kind of like to the goal.
Yeah.
Like, so that for me at that point was like, right, that's my goal. And then, yeah, I've had it over years where then my goal in CrossFit was I want to be able to do every movement. I might not be great at anything, and I'm definitely not great at anything now, but I can give it a try.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the incentive. So,
Yeah, that is cool. The last question that I had in relation to like clients and stuff. You
yeah.
mentioned there like some people are super gung ho because it's the new year. Da da da.
Mhm.
How do you deal with those types of people who they tell you their goals? You want to do this, you want to do this, and where you think like we need to pump the brakes here a little bit because you know this is going to go great maybe for 2 months and then you're going to burn out, or so they come and they want to do CrossFit, they want to learn how to snatch and they want to learn how to do thrusters and then all the gymnastics as well. Like how do you deal with those people in your sit down or whatever goal setting, however you do it, to kind of rein them in, pump the brakes, and then get them into trajectory that they're feeling good about, and not just like, oh well, I have all these goals that I was excited about and this guy's just dumping them on them all.
Yeah, I think that's where I like I say I'll be hopefully very like sometimes try and think about that because like I said I've experienced all of that. Like people will probably like laugh at you and think like, oh, he's never going to be able to do that, or that goal's like silly.
Yeah.
But try and be honest with them and say like, I personally, just from experience, I think have this goal for now, and then like I was just saying, it might not be realistic straight away, but you can work towards it. But I think again, like managing that has been. So I have that sometimes where in classes, for example, say someone puts a weight on the barbell and you just see it and you think, right, I don't think that's going to be the best, but that's what I've learned over years. Like if an individual wants to do that, and I know even if I say like, right, I think you should lower that weight, they'll carry on anyway. Just kind of learn over time. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's a hard one to answer in the sense of I want to be a human at first. Like I'm not there to dishearten anyone, but just from my experiences that I've had, and like I said, I've had some good ones in that sense where if you do something or you get so set on it and you don't achieve it, it can sometimes be worse than like basically saying, right, slow it down a little bit, think about the long term, like I had it with certain things where I rushed into things, got injured a little bit, and then couldn't do it. And it's like, actually, if you miss 2 weeks or 3 weeks of training, that's going to be worse than like, right, slowly progress things, and then you might get there in. And I try not to put timelines on things as well, because I feel like again, if you've got a timeline, then you're constantly working towards that, and if you don't get it in that time, because things happen in life, you might not be able to train for a week. Something might happen, and you can't get to the gym. Don't let it then be negative and think, oh, now I've only got 3 weeks to achieve the goal and stuff like that. But again, just from my own personal experience.
I was just going to say, so like, say if we've got a goal, I think you already touched upon it, but say if we had a goal like to, as you said, I want to do a muscle up, and I came to you and I said, okay, I want to do a ring muscle up. I can't do a strict pull up. And then you said, okay, well, let's do a strict pull up first. And I said, okay, but I really want to do a ring muscle up. Like, how long would it take me to do that? Would you give me a time frame and then say, look, let's just nail this first, and then once we've nailed this, then we can work towards that one. And then second question on that
We
would
love the
be
double
Yeah.
questions.
yeah, the double question, it always gets difficult. How would you help someone through a period, say if they couldn't get that strict pull up in that given sort of time, so say 4 weeks, and they still couldn't get that, and then they were like, oh, but I really want to do that. How do you keep them going, keep them motivated, keep them coming back?
Yeah, so I think I might have to re-ask one of the questions. But
Can't do
It's
it.
fine.
Can't
It's a
do
standard
the
thing on here.
I think, yeah. So I would try and, so if they didn't have a strict pull up, obviously work towards that goal. In terms of like timeline, again, hard to sometimes say because some people might. I've done stuff with people before. You give them one bit of information on things and they can just do it, and it's like, oh, actually, I could do that where I didn't think you could. Whereas there's other people where, and like I think David said this earlier, but if you come from no training background, it's sometimes quite hard. So I've noticed this with clients over years where if they've got no foundational strength, then it's sometimes harder, especially with gymnastics, because you've got to build that upper body
It's like
strength
me and my
first.
calves, no foundational strength.
I'll join you on there, brother. My calves are non-existent. Bit better after the 3 hour ski, though, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I bet.
But yeah, so back to that point. So with the ring muscle up, I would still try and get them doing alternatives. That isn't a full muscle up, of course, because it probably wouldn't be achievable then, but still try and show them that there's like exercises that you can do that will help you towards that. So whether it be like ring rows or false grip ring rows or like transitions on a band or working towards dips and things like that. So hopefully they'll see there's progressions to it, but some of it might take time or giving them, like I say, right, get that strict pull up first. So you've got a bit more foundational strength to help you then when we look to progress into a muscle up. But so there's many different factors that I've experienced throughout that where, like I say, and if you work on something so much, you don't want to spend all your time on that sometimes.
Mm.
So I always try and say maybe spend one session on that a week, a little bit and another day, but then also try and make sure you have sessions that you enjoy. So like if someone enjoyed a fitness session, don't stop doing that because I've done that with weightlifting where I wanted to improve it so much that I stopped doing everything else.
Mm.
And it was kind of like, my weightlifting's only got a little bit better, but everything else has gone completely downhill.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers the question. I realize I mumble a lot, so I apologize.
No, it's good. No, it's good. I think it's so interesting what you're saying about like because you seem like timeline comes up quite a bit, and I'm sure as a PT that comes up all the time because people often have like I have a goal because I want to be shredded in the summer, or I've got a wedding in August or whatever it is. And what you're just talking about then of like really staying away from uh timelines no matter kind of how persistent they are. It reminds me, Matt, when we were talking to another guest, um Tom Swales, he's a physiotherapist, and he was saying um when a client, or he's talking about like kind of building culture in his physio uh office that he owns, and building a culture of like knowing what's expected. And it kind of just
Yeah,
reminded me of that because you're saying, and he said like when a client comes in, they're asking for this and this, I say this is what you can expect and this is what will happen. Like this is what I will bring
yeah,
to the table, and these are things that I won't do, and these and
yeah,
equally these are the things that I expect of you. And if they have a problem with that, that's totally fine. But it probably won't work out here, and then there might be somewhere
yeah,
else where it works out better. So it just reminded me of that, of like being really, I don't know, rigid isn't the right word, but like I guess having those like core values as
yeah. And
like as a coach.
I think that's right. And I've said this now. I've had like when I first started out as a PT, it was like, oh, how much like money can I make? And like I want to be as busy as I can be. But then looking at it now, like I say in that example, if I had someone ring me tomorrow and was like, Josh, like I've seen you on Instagram. I want to get ready for my holiday. It's in 6 weeks. Can you get me looking like this guy and shows me a photo or and it's like I'd have to say personally I can't do it. I haven't got any availability. And that's not because I don't want to take that on.
Mm,
And I'm sure that they could look in great shape. But for me, like you were just saying, my core values is I would rather train someone for once a week for the rest of their life than train someone for 6 weeks and do like 3 sessions a week and like really drop their diet to like an extreme value where they end up not really being that healthy.
Mm.
And I feel like that all just kind of relates. And if you change everything so suddenly, it usually doesn't help, because then you think, oh, and if you don't get results, then you think, what was the point?
Yeah.
So that's my personal, like I say, personal view on it.
Yeah.
And like you were just saying, I had that example. Like when I got injured, I was like, I want to know how long I'm going to be back, when am I going to be playing? And it's like, when I think back, it's like, how could they tell me an exact date? Like, it's not realistic,
Yeah.
because things might
Yeah.
happen. You might not be able to do a certain exercise on the way back. And similar with training, like I've had it with people before, where it's like, if you wanted to set a timeline, and like I think I just kind of said this, but say 2 weeks you were ill, like super ill, you couldn't go to the gym, it's then like, you've just lost 2 weeks. Don't be too hard on yourself,
Mm.
because you couldn't physically train. So why worry about having like, oh, I've only got 2 weeks now till this goal I've set like runs out. So that's just, like I say, that's how I'd personally approach it. And if I'm educating someone or coaching someone, that's how I'd like to do it personally.
Mm. Yeah. And I have one more question that I thought of.
Yep.
I said it was my last question. I lied. Do you, because it's New Year's and people have New Year's goals and stuff, and I'm curious whether over the course of your coaching career, uh, going through several New Years and New Year's kind of pushes and resolutions, whether
Yeah.
you've kind of found um, trends over the years with clients of like specific times of the year or like specific events that happen where all of a sudden people struggle with their goals, where now you could even as a coach look ahead and be like, oh, March is coming around the corner, it's time to really like bump up the motivation dial or whatever, or this person had just this happen in their life. From experience, I know that that's going to follow with this, so I need to do X. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think like as a general, like January is usually like, especially like coaching classes, not necessarily one-to-ones, but coaching classes, you see a lot of new people think, oh, it's New Year, I've got to get into it like a gym now, or but more on a one-to-one basis. Yeah, like if I get to know the person, and like I say, I'm lucky to have some incredible clients who I kind of know their life, know some roughly what they go through. And I've had that with people where, say, their work might be stressful. So during that time, it's like, right, let's try and motivate them to keep the training up so that they've got some as a release from their job. Or, like I say, usually summer as well, it can be a lot of pressure on, like, gotta, and like I was just saying about the holiday thing, but
Mm,
trying to make sure people, like, because that's all I want to install in people is confidence, whether that's
yeah.
how they look, how they train, like how they feel mainly. And again, like I said earlier, but to the client, because if I've got someone who's, like I say, coming to me just to improve their lifestyle,
Mm,
then not putting too much pressure on training,
mm,
because it should be fun and not feel like a chore. Whereas if it's more like someone who wants to be more of an athlete, then I've got to be like realistic and be like, right, if you've got a comp coming up, then let's try to step it up a little bit. Like, again, depending on who it is. So I hope I answered that. I don't know.
yeah, no, yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, no, yeah, we
perfect.
really appreciate you coming on. It's been great, and you're very very well spoken. It's so easy to listen to you. I don't know, Matt, if you found that as well, but I've found it fantastic. that so we really appreciate you coming on. Before we close off, uh,
Yeah.
we've talked about goals. So what's next for you? What are kind of your goals as you look ahead to the year? Kind of in your own athletic development, kind of taking a step back from CrossFit and doing kind of more hybrid style training. And what's
Yeah.
coming up next for kind of your coaching?
So the goal this year, as cheesy as it is to enjoy my training. That's the goal. So yeah, for years I've put so much pressure on
Mm,
trying to and again, I've said all of this on this podcast. That's how I coach people: is don't put too much pressure on, or like. But I've been through all that, and so yeah, the goal this year, like I say, enjoy training. I've got some team competitions coming up in Feb, doing turf games with Nick's gym, and then some guys from BFG as well, which I'm really looking forward to.
I saw
Just go and
on the
have some fun.
Zinc's Instagram, the coaches have
Yep.
some incredible pictures on there. Holy smokes.
Oh,
You
really?
guys look like the A-team or something like that. I don't know if it's like
That
I don't know if it's the coaches of the gym or if it's like that's your turf games team. But you guys mean
oh no,
business.
that was for a competition that
Holy
they were running.
smokes.
And that was quite funny. They asked me to obviously be in that, and I was like,
Yeah.
why am I in
You
this?
got it,
I'm
Matt.
the
You
least athletic person ever.
oh, that's a lie. That's a lie, Matt. You need to go to Zinc's Instagram account and see, you'll know exactly which. It's like moody lighting, down lighting in the gym. They look like the Suicide Squad or something. It's intense.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Sorry, I cut
fair
you
enough. I'll definitely have a good look later. Late night, 2 a.m. just underneath the bed covers. Have a little
No.
peer through.
off. It's just zoomed in on
like I
Josh's
say-
face.
You can tell me later. It's fine. No, I'm joking. No, they're, like I said, lovely people. But yeah, in terms of that, I would like to work towards doing a CrossFit competition later in the year. I've always said I'd like to do one abroad. Nothing, like I say, I just want to go and experience like a 2 or 3 day competition and kind of test myself again with that. But yeah, and then coaching wise, like I said, now I'm obviously fortunate again to be working in 3, back in a CrossFit style gym as well. So yeah, I just want to keep progressing as a coach. Like I said, I've learned a lot, been fortunate to work obviously at BFG before and learned so much there, and like I said, valuable the things I've learned. And I just kind of want to now just keep progressing as a person as well. The end goal will be, I would like to have my own gym, but again, not putting a timeline on it. So I'm waiting and seeing what life throws at me.
Yeah.
So
Matt, I thought you were gonna say
Sorry,
something.
I was going to say what. So when are you gonna? So do you have a timeline for when you're gonna hopefully achieve the start of like enjoying your training?
I don't see. This is the thing. I hope I'm going to enjoy it the whole year. So I guess that's the timeline.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. How do you measure?
see.
How do you measure that?
Not
It's like
every
June.
session.
Have I enjoyed training?
Just
I
one
say
day,
that, I
just one day.
Yeah, yeah.
I did a workout today with like an EMOM of thrusters, and then I thought, well, I'm not enjoying this whatsoever, am I really?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I did enjoy it after, and it was like doing it with everyone was wicked. But yeah, no, I guess, yeah, it's kind of a hard one to have a timeline on, but yeah,
I think it's just
that's
more
kind
like
of
the
goal for me
pressure
is-
of it, isn't it? Like it's easier to enjoy things
I've
if
got
you've taken
a
the pressure.
realistic goal though. If you ever want to catch me up on it, David,
What is it?
I would like to play at Wimbledon next year.
Next year. Come
That's the
on.
goal. Yeah, that's the goal. No, I'm joking.
Not
I did.
at.
We delve in a bit of tennis,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
me and my mate Matty have been playing. We're on it now.
Are you?
So left it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a few
Like
stories up
Alcaraz.
at the Loughborough indoor courts. So you're taking it serious, heading indoors for the winter, not even just in the summertime.
That's it.
Yeah.
A lot of double faults, but we're getting there.
They don't count. They don't count.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Yeah, it's scary going in there. I don't know. Maybe I mean you've gotten the better of me the both times that we've played tennis, but it's scary going into that tennis center. For me, it was. I went in once, and like there's some people absolutely snapping the ball around in there.
Yeah.
Maybe
Me and Matty, literally the first time we went, we were like, "Oh my god, what have we done?" Like everyone's like literally like watching Djokovic and Federer next to us,
Yeah.
and we were like, "We are in the wrong place."
yeah.
But,
I'm just gonna
no,
underhand
we're
serve.
slowly up in it.
Yeah. Oh,
No,
it's crazy.
It's good.
Oh, right.
Matt, can you play? Sorry, I'm just chatting now.
Yeah, no. The fact I didn't say yes to that quickly, no, I can't. I used to play a ton of tennis when I was growing up,
Yeah.
but then just stuck with rugby team sports so I could blame someone else.
Nice.
That's hilarious.
Gonna say we get some doubles on the go, David.
Yeah,
I'll start
absolutely.
practicing.
Yeah.
I'll
We'll
start
go
practicing.
the RSS podcast versus you and Maddie.
We're called D-Generation X.
DJ, they got a name already. So are you going to Wimbledon
There you go.
in teams then, or singles?
Well, it depends if Matty can keep up with me. You know, he's getting better than me now. I'm only joking. He's better than me now.
I don't believe that.
No, I was only joking about the tennis. I just enjoy tennis as a very amateur. That's what I'm keeping that as.
Yeah. Oh,
We'll stick to being a CrossFit athlete.
anyone can be an
Loosely
athlete.
say
That's
that.
fine. Yeah.
That's it.
Right. We
Nice
have one last thing, which is quick fire questions, which we always do with our guests. So Matt takes this one over, and it's just 5 quick fire questions, which can range from what's your deepest fear to what color would you be, or would you still
Nice.
would you still love Matt if he was a worm?
Okay.
So he's thrown that to me once before. So
Yeah, and you
Like, are
answered
we
the
talking
question wrong,
CrossFit
David.
worm or like normal worm?
yeah, CrossFit worm, not a chance.
Oh, never.
You get bitten. Yeah, but Matt, if you don't have anything
Alright,
else
you
to
ready?
add, we'll go quick fire questions.
Okay. First question. What time do you usually wake up in the morning?
5:30.
Holy. What item is worth spending more money on?
Right. Sorry. And I say again.
What item is worth spending more money on? Like if you were to keep like buying something, what would you buy? Like knee sleeves for CrossFit.
Yeah, I guess CrossFit shoes because you get a lot of
sweet.
wear of them. Sorry, I didn't realise this is not very quick fire. Apologies.
They never are.
Nah, so what are you most looking forward to?
Like in life or
Yeah, in life. Told you some of these questions, deep questions.
yeah, I like it. I guess enjoy spending time with my dog. That's probably up there for me.
There you go. Would your 12-year-old self think you were cool or are cool?
I'd like to think so. If I saw myself at 12 now, I'd be like, oh, he's a lot bigger than he was then. So I guess maybe
nice,
so.
nice.
Sweet. And then lastly, what motivates you the most?
I guess make my family proud. Mum, dad,
Oh, that's
brother.
decent.
Yeah, sorry, a bit cheesy, but that's
That's
my
heartwarming way to
thing.
end it.
Sorry.
That's a great last question. A great last answer as well. Yeah. Well, Matt, Josh, we really appreciate you coming on. For anyone listening who wants to send Josh a DM to get personal trainer training or jump into one of the classes at his gym, JB Functional Fitness is your Instagram handle, right? Letter J, letter B, Functional Fitness. And yeah, we really appreciate you coming on, taking your time after a busy work day. I'm sure late in the evening to come on and have a chat with us too. So really, really appreciate your time, Josh. And
Thank you for having me.
Let us know when you're playing tennis, and we'll come throw you around the court.
Let's go. No, nice one. Thank you both.
Yeah. Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks, Josh.